Where is my son?
My king, I don't really know.
The royal decree arrives on the night Sorcha discovers she's been replaced. The parchment bearing the Alpha's seal trembles in her hands as she reads the words that shatter her world. Niamh of the Lowland Ashling pack has been chosen as the future Luna. Not Sorcha. Not the woman who has stood at Ciarán's side through 3 blood moons and 2 territorial wars. The pack law is absolute, and the announcement will be made at dawn. Sorcha's fingers curl around the decree until her nails pierce the paper, and something dark and desperate unfurls in her chest. She has 48 hours before the bonding ceremony. 48 hours before everything she's sacrificed becomes worthless. Tell me the city you're watching from so I can send you a hug, because what happens next will break your heart before it heals it. The Alpha's son sleeps in the nursery 3 corridors away. Little Fiachra, barely 2 years old, with his father's silver eyes and his mother's gentle spirit. Ciarán's heir to the throne, born of his late mate who died bringing the boy into this world. The child who should have made Sorcha Luna by default, as his chosen caretaker and Ciarán's most trusted advisor. But pack law favors bloodline over loyalty, and Niamh carries the forbidden bloodline of the ancient Ashling healers. The very bloodline that can strengthen the pack's connection to the old magic. The bloodline Sorcha lacks. Sorcha moves through the stone corridors of Duan Cairn, the fortress that has been her home since she was 16. Every torchlit hallway knows her footsteps. Every guard nods in deference to her authority. She built this. She organized the pack's defenses when the Northmen came. She negotiated the treaties with the rival clans. She held Ciarán together when his mate died screaming in childbirth, when he couldn't even look at his own son without seeing the woman he'd lost. And now this Omega, this soft-spoken stranger with her healing hands and her kind eyes, will take the Luna's crown and wear it like she earned it. The jealousy burns hotter than wolf's bane in Sorcha's veins. It's a living thing, consuming rational thought, feeding on years of unspoken love and unreturned devotion. She reaches the nursery door and presses her palm against the ancient oak. The night nurse, old Mare, sits dozing in her chair. Fiachra's small chest rises and falls in perfect innocence. He looks like his father. Gods, he looks so much like Ciarán that Sorcha's heart cracks open every time she sees him. She could love this child. She does love him. But love has become a poison tonight, twisted by the knowledge that he will call another woman mother. That Niamh will raise him, guide him, teach him the old ways that Sorcha never learned because her bloodline was too common, too ordinary, too completely insufficient. The plan forms in her mind like ice crystallizing on winter water. It's terrible. It's unforgivable. It's the only way she can see to stop this coronation, this theft of everything she's worked toward. If Fiachra were to disappear, if the heir to the throne were to vanish just days before the new Luna arrives, who would Ciarán suspect? Not Sorcha. Never Sorcha, his loyal right hand, his most devoted protector. But Niamh, the stranger, the Omega who hasn't yet proven herself to the pack. The woman whose bloodline carries ancient magic but also ancient enemies. They would suspect her. Sorcha's hand moves to the nursery door latch before her conscience catches up with her ambition. She freezes, suspended between the woman she was and the monster she's about to become. The child inside is innocent. Fiachra has done nothing except exist, except embody a future that excludes her. Can she truly do this? Can she steal a child, hide him away, destroy an innocent woman's reputation, all for a crown that was never promised to her? The answer comes swift and certain, yes. Because the alternative is watching Ciarán pledge his life to another. Watching Niamh stand where Sorcha has dreamed of standing since the day she first shifted and felt the pull of the Alpha bond. Some women are born to be Luna. Sorcha has spent 8 years proving she's one of them. She won't let destiny or bloodlines or ancient prophecies take that from her now. He opens the door. Mare doesn't stir. Fiachra sleeps on, his small fist curled around a worn blanket that once belonged to his mother. Sorcha moves like smoke across the room, her years of warrior training making her footsteps silent as snow. She lifts the boy from his bed, and he's warm and heavy in her arms, smelling of milk and innocence. He doesn't wake. The sleeping draught she'd added to his evening meal is working perfectly. Her heart hammers against her ribs as she wraps him tighter in the blanket, concealing his face. If anyone stops her in the corridors, she'll say he was fretful, that she's taking him to the healers. No one will question her. No one ever questions Sorcha. The secret passage behind the nursery's south wall opens with a soft grinding of stone on stone. These tunnels run throughout Duan Cairn, ancient routes carved by the founders generations ago. Sorcha knows them all. She's made it her business to know every secret of this fortress, every hidden way, every forgotten room. That knowledge serves her now as she descends into darkness, the child warm against her chest, her future secured in her arms. The tunnels lead to the old watchtower at the eastern edge of Pact territory, abandoned since the last war. Sorcha has prepared the room there over the past 3 days, ever since she heard rumors of the royal decree. Food, water, blankets, everything a child needs. Orlith, her cousin, waits in the shadows. Orlith, who owes Sorcha her life after that incident with the silver poisoning. Orlith, who will do anything Sorcha asks. No questions spoken aloud. Keep him safe, Sorcha whispers, transferring the sleeping boy into her cousin's arms. Keep him comfortable. 3 days, maybe 4. When I come back for him, there will be a new order in Duan Cairn. A better order. Orlith's eyes are wide with fear and loyalty in equal measure. And if someone finds him, if they track him here, they won't. I'll make sure of that. Sorcha touches Fiachra's dark curls one final time. The boy mumbles something in his sleep, and Sorcha's throat tightens. She's not a monster. She's not. She's just a woman fighting for what should have been hers from the beginning. No one will hurt him. That's a blood oath, cousin. On my life and yours. The words hang in the cold tower air, binding and absolute. A blood oath cannot be broken without consequence. Orlith nods, understanding the gravity, the sacred promise. Fiachra will be protected. He must be, or Sorcha's soul is forfeit to the old gods. She returns through the tunnels as dawn approaches, her mind already 3 steps ahead. The nursery will wake in 2 hours. Mare will find the empty bed. The fortress will erupt in panic. And then Sorcha will plant the seeds of suspicion that will grow into certainty. Niamh arrives with the sunrise, as tradition demands. The Omega comes with her small traveling pack and an escort of 3 pack members who wear the Ashling colors. She's younger than Sorcha expected, perhaps 23 or 24, with long copper hair that catches the morning light like fire. Her eyes are the green of deep forest moss, and they hold a gentleness that makes Sorcha want to scream. This is her rival. This soft creature who looks like she's never known a day of real struggle. Ciarán greets Niamh in the main hall with the formal words of welcome. He's handsome in his ceremonial leathers, his dark hair pulled back to reveal the strong lines of his face. The Alpha's presence fills the room, commanding and magnetic, everything an Alpha should be. Sorcha watches from her position at his left hand, where she stood for 8 years, and forces her expression into neutrality. Protocol demands she welcome the new Luna. Pride demands she show nothing of the rage boiling beneath her skin. Sorcha, Ciarán says, turning to her with trust in his silver eyes. Trust she's about to betray. Please show Niamh to her quarters. Help her settle before the ceremony preparations begin. Of course, Alpha. Title tastes like ashes. Sorcha gestures for Niamh to follow, and the Omega does, her movements graceful and uncertain in equal measure. They walk in silence through the corridors. Sorcha watches Niamh from the corner of her eye, studying her rival, searching for weaknesses. The Omega's hands tremble slightly as she clutches her travel pack. Nervous, then. Unsure of her place here. But that will make this easier. The fortress is impressive, Niamh says quietly as they climb the stairs to the Luna's chambers. Her voice is musical, lightly accented from the southern territories. I've heard stories of Duan Cairn since I was a child. Never thought I'd see it in person. It's not an easy place to love, Sorcha replies, keeping her tone professional. The winters are harsh. The pack is traditional. They don't warm quickly to outsiders. I'm aware. Niamh glances at her, and those green eyes hold more intelligence than Sorcha wants to credit. I know this is unusual. My bloodline, my selection. I know there are expectations I may not meet. The pack will judge you by your actions, not your bloodline. The lie comes smoothly. The pack will absolutely judge her by bloodline first, action second. But Sorcha needs Niamh uncertain, needs her off balance for what comes next. They reach the Luna's chambers, and Sorcha opens the door to reveal rooms that have stood empty since Ciarán's mate died. Fresh flowers fill the vases, and the stone walls have been hung with tapestries depicting the pack's history. It's beautiful. It should have been Sorcha's. I'll leave you to settle, Sorcha says. The ceremony is tomorrow at moonrise. If you need anything. The scream cuts through the fortress like a blade through flesh. It comes from the nursery wing, high and panicked and absolutely perfect. Sorcha's plan has begun. She runs, and Niamh follows close behind, both women moving with supernatural speed through the corridors. They arrive to find chaos. Mare is sobbing, her hands pressed to her face. Guards crowd the doorway. And Ciarán stands in the center of the nursery, his face drained of all color, staring at the empty bed where his son should be sleeping. He's gone. The Alpha's voice breaks on the words. Fiachra's gone. The fortress explodes into action. Guards search every room, every corridor, every shadowed corner. The pack link buzzes with frantic communication as warriors shift and spread across the territory, following scent trails that lead nowhere. Sorcha coordinates the search with ruthless efficiency, her face a mask of concern while her heart hammers with guilt and terrible triumph. Everything is going according to plan. Except for Niamh. The Omega stands in the nursery doorway, her face pale, her hands folded at her waist. She's not searching. She's not offering suggestions. She's watching. Those green eyes track every movement, every reaction, with an intelligence that sends ice down Sorcha's spine. What does she see? What can she possibly know? You! Ciarán turns to Niamh suddenly, and Sorcha's breath catches. Too soon. She hasn't planted the evidence yet, hasn't laid the groundwork for suspicion. But the Alpha's grief is a wild thing, searching for direction, for someone to blame. You arrived this morning. Your escort. Did they see anything unusual? Anyone near the nursery wing? No, Alpha. Niamh's voice is steady despite her obvious fear. We arrived at dawn. The escort left immediately after delivering me. I saw no one except Lady Sorcha. The implication hangs in the air like smoke. I saw no one except Lady Sorcha. Sorcha's teeth clench. The Omega is cleverer than she appears, already deflecting potential blame. But it's not enough. It won't be enough. The tunnels, Sorcha says, infusing her voice with sudden realization. Someone used the old tunnels. Look. She points to the south wall where the secret door stands slightly ajar. She'd left it that way deliberately, her own evidence trail leading away from her and toward anyone else. Only a few people know about the passage network. Mostly old pack families. And she hesitates, as if reluctant to continue. And Ciarán's voice is sharp as broken glass. And the Aisling clan. They helped build Duin Cairn 3 generations ago. The tunnel layouts would be in their records. Part of their heritage. The words land like stones in still water, sending ripples of suspicion through the assembled pack members. Eyes turn toward Niamh. The Omega's face pales further, her hands tightening at her waist. You think I took the Alpha's heir? Niamh's voice rises in disbelief and hurt. I only just arrived. I don't know these tunnels. I don't know this fortress. Why would I? To stop the ceremony, someone mutters from the crowd. Sorcha doesn't see who, but she feels the sentiment spreading like wildfire. To destabilize the pack. The Aisling have always resented northern rule. That's not true. Niamh turns to Ciarán, her eyes pleading. Alpha, I swear on my life, on my bloodline, on everything sacred, I had nothing to do with this. I would never harm a child. I'm a healer. I'm meant to protect life, not destroy it. Ciarán stares at her, and Sorcha can see the war behind his eyes. He wants to believe her. The mate bond hasn't formed yet, but he's drawn to her nonetheless, the way all alphas are drawn to their chosen Luna. But his son is missing. His heir is gone. And the evidence, circumstantial as it is, points toward the stranger. Confine her to quarters, Ciarán says finally, each word heavy as iron. Post guards at her door. No one enters or leaves until we find Fiachra. Alpha, please. Niamh starts forward, but guards are already moving to escort her away. She looks back over her shoulder at Sorcha, and in that moment, Sorcha sees something terrifying in those green eyes. Not fear. Not confusion. Knowledge. Recognition. Understanding. The Omega knows. But knowing and proving are different things. Sorcha holds Niamh's gaze until the guards lead her around the corner, then turns back to Ciarán. The Alpha has collapsed into the chair beside his son's empty bed. His head in his hands, and Sorcha's heart twists with genuine pain. She never wanted to hurt him. She only wanted to be chosen by him. To be seen by him. To stand beside him as his equal, not his subordinate. We'll find him, Sorcha says softly, placing a hand on Ciarán's shoulder. The contact sends electricity through her the way it always does. The way it always has. I promise you, Ciarán. We'll bring Fiachra home. The Alpha looks up at her, and his eyes are hollow with grief. What if we don't? What if someone's already taken him beyond pack territory? What if? He can't finish the sentence. Can't speak the worst possibilities aloud. Then we hunt them to the ends of the earth, Sorcha says fiercely. Every pack, every territory, every hidden corner of this realm. We don't stop until he's back. I don't stop. Ciarán reaches up and covers her hand with his, and for one perfect moment, Sorcha allows herself to believe this is how it will be. The two of them united in purpose, leading the pack together. Partners. Equals. The way it should have been from the beginning. Then he releases her and stands, the Alpha's mask sliding back into place. Double the patrols. Question everyone who was near the nursery yesterday. Search the tunnels, all of them. And bring me proof. His voice hardens. If Niamh is responsible, I need evidence. Suspicion isn't enough to condemn a lunar elect. Sorcha nods and moves to obey, but her mind is racing. Proof. She needs to manufacture proof. Something concrete that will shift suspicion into certainty. The tunnels are clean, she made sure of that. But perhaps something in Niamh's quarters. Some evidence that the Omega was planning this all along. The day blurs into desperate activity. Search parties return with nothing. The pack's best trackers lose the scent trail at the tunnel entrance, confused by the multiple overlapping scents from years of use. Sorcha moves through the chaos with perfect composure, directing, organizing, comforting. She visits Niamh once, bringing food and water, playing the role of reluctant jailer. The Omega sits by the window in her guarded quarters, staring out at the mountains. She doesn't touch the food. She barely acknowledges Sorcha's presence. But when Sorcha turns to leave, Niamh speaks. You love him. Sorcha freezes in the doorway. I serve my Alpha, as we all do. No. Niamh stands and crosses the room, moving with surprising authority for someone confined and accused. You love him. I can see it in the way you look at him. The way you position yourself at his side. The way your voice changes when you say his name. She tilts her head, studying Sorcha with those two knowing eyes. How long? How many years have you loved Ciarán and watched him look past you? You overstep. Sorcha's voice is ice. I'm already accused of child theft. I don't think gentle manners will save me now. Niamh steps closer, and Sorcha catches her scent. Lavender and cedar and something older. Something that speaks of ancient bloodlines and power barely leashed. I didn't take Fiachra. But you know who did. Don't you, Lady Sorcha? You know exactly where that child is sleeping right now. The accusation lands like a physical blow. Sorcha's hand moves to her belt knife before she can stop herself, and Niamh doesn't flinch. The Omega simply watches, waiting, daring Sorcha to confess or deny. You have no proof, Sorcha says finally. Not yet. Niamh's smile is sad and knowing. But I will. Because whoever took Fiacre can't keep him hidden forever. Children cry. They need care. They leave traces. And when he's found, the truth will come out. It always does. Then I hope you're prepared for what that truth will reveal about you and your clan's ambitions. Sorcha turns to leave, her heart hammering. The Ashling have always wanted power in the north. What better way than to destabilize the Alpha's household right before a Luna coronation? Is that the story you're going to tell? Niamh's voice follows her into the corridor. I wonder if you believe it yourself. I wonder if you can live with what you've done for a crown you were never meant to wear. Sorcha slams the door and leans against it, her breath coming hard. The Omega's words burrow under her skin like silver poisoning. She doesn't know anything. She's guessing. She's grasping at theories because she's desperate. But doubt creeps in nonetheless. What if someone finds Orlith? What if Fiacre wakes and cries loud enough for a patrol to hear? What if Sorcha's carefully constructed plan unravels because she underestimated the intelligence of a gentle healer from the southern territories? Well, she's come too far to doubt now. She'll plant the evidence tonight. Something in Niamh's quarters that proves premeditation. A map of the tunnels, perhaps, marked with the route to the watchtower. A letter from someone in the Ashling clan discussing the plan. It needs to be subtle enough to be believable but damning enough to convince Ciarán. The opportunity comes during the midnight meal, when the guards change shifts. Sorcha slips into Niamh's quarters using her master key, moving silent and swift through the darkened rooms. The Omega is asleep on the bed, curled on her side, her copper hair spread across the pillow. She looks young in sleep, vulnerable. Nothing like the keen-eyed woman who accused Sorcha of theft just hours ago. Sorcha pulls the forged letter from her tunic. She spent 3 hours crafting it, copying the Ashling clan's official seal from the archives, aging the paper with tea stains and careful creasing. It reads like a warning from Niamh's aunt. Be careful with the Northern Alpha. If the boy stands between you and power, remember that children are fragile things. The Ashling protect their own. It's damning. It's perfect. Sorcha crosses to the small trunk where Niamh keeps her personal items and lifts the lid carefully, searching for the right place to hide. Looking for something. Sorcha spins. Niamh is awake, sitting up in bed, her eyes reflecting moonlight like a wolf's. How long has she been watching? How much has she seen? I came to check on you, Sorcha says smoothly, letting the trunk lid fall closed, the letter still in her hand behind her back. To make sure you had everything you needed. In the middle of the night. Without knocking. Niamh slides from the bed, and there's power in her movements now. The kind of power that comes from old bloodlines and older magic. What's in your hand, Lady Sorcha? What were you about to plant in my belongings? I don't know what you mean. Show me. Niamh's voice carries command, and Sorcha feels her hand move before she can stop it. The Omega's magic. The forbidden bloodline asserting itself. Sorcha's fingers uncurl, revealing the letter, and Niamh's eyes widen with understanding and fury. You forged evidence. You're going to frame me not just with circumstantial suspicion but with manufactured proof. She laughs, a bitter sound. Gods, you really will destroy anything to get what you want, won't you? Sorcha moves fast, closing the distance between them, one hand over Niamh's mouth to silence her. They struggle, and Sorcha is stronger, has more combat training, but Niamh fights with desperate determination. The Omega's nails rake across Sorcha's cheek, drawing blood. The pain sharpens Sorcha's focus, and she forces Niamh back against the wall, pinning her there. Stop fighting, Sorcha hisses. Stop making this harder than it has to be. Just confess. Tell Ciarán you took Fiacre to stop the ceremony. Tell him you panicked. He might show you mercy if you bring the boy back. Niamh bites down on Sorcha's palm, hard enough to break skin. Sorcha jerks back with a curse, and Niamh sucks in breath to scream. Sorcha moves on instinct, her hand striking Niamh's temple with enough force to stun. The Omega crumples, unconscious, sliding down the wall to the floor. Silence fills the room like water filling a grave. Sorcha stares at Niamh's motionless form, at the blood on her own hands, both from her cut palm and the scratches on her face. This has gone too far. This has spiraled beyond her control. She needs to leave, needs to get out before the guards hear the commotion. But the letter, evidence. If she leaves it behind and Niamh wakes, the Omega will tell everyone what Sorcha tried to do. And if she takes it, she's back where she started, with only suspicion and no proof. Sorcha makes a decision. She places the letter inside Niamh's trunk, buried beneath layers of clothing where it will look like it's been there since the Omega arrived. Then she arranges Niamh on the bed, making it look like she simply fell asleep. The blow to her head wasn't hard enough to do lasting damage. Probably. The Omega will wake with a headache and confusion, but no clear memory of the struggle. Probably. Sorcha leaves the way she came, through the shadows and silence, and returns to her own quarters. Her hands shake as she washes the blood from her skin. This isn't who she is. This isn't who she wanted to become. But ambition is a beast that devours conscience, and she's been feeding it for 8 years. Too late to stop now. Too far gone to turn back. The next morning brings fresh horror. A patrol finds signs of someone living in the old watchtower. Food wrappers, child-sized blankets, evidence of recent occupation. But no child. No Orlith. No fiacre. The room is empty, recently abandoned, and Sorcha's blood runs cold. She intercepts the patrol leader before he can report to Ciarán. Where are they? Where's the boy? Gone, Lady Sorcha. The trail heads west toward the border territories, but it's at least 4 hours old. Whoever was there took the child and ran. West. Toward hostile territories. Toward places where a stolen heir could be sold or ransomed or worse. This wasn't the plan. Orlith was supposed to stay put, was supposed to keep Fiacre safe until Sorcha could retrieve him triumphantly, claiming she'd tracked the kidnappers through skill and determination. Instead, her cousin has panicked and fled, taking the Alpha's son into genuine danger. The blood oath burns in Sorcha's chest like a brand. She swore to protect the boy. She swore on her life and Orlith's. If anything happens to Fiacre, the old gods will exact their price. Take me to the tower, Sorcha says. Now. She searches the abandoned room with growing dread, finding signs of Orlith's hasty departure. Spilled water, a torn blanket, scratch marks on the floor from moved furniture. What made her run? What spooked her into breaking protocol? A scrap of paper beneath the window provides the answer. It's a note in Orlith's hasty scrawl. They're coming. I heard wolves circling. Taking F west to Aunt Deirdre's. We'll send word when safe. But Aunt Deirdre has been dead for 3 years. Orlith knows that. Which means this note is meant to mislead, to send pursuers in the wrong direction while Orlith goes. Where? North. South. Somewhere she thinks is safe but that Sorcha can't predict. This is falling apart. Everything is falling apart. Sorcha returns to the fortress to find Ciarán organizing a massive search party. The entire pack is mobilizing. And Niamh, awake now with a bruise blooming on her temple, stands before the Alpha in the great hall, her wrists bound with silver cord, proclaiming her innocence to a room full of skeptical wolves. I didn't take your son, Niamh says, her voice ringing clear despite her fear. I don't know who did, but I know someone in this fortress does. Someone who had access to the nursery, knowledge of the tunnels, and reason to want me discredited. Careful, Omega. Declan, the pack's beta, steps forward with warning in his eyes. You're accused of child theft. Adding slander to your crimes won't help your case. It's not slander if it's true. Niamh turns, and her eyes find Sorcha in the crowd with laser precision. Lady Sorcha visited my quarters last night. She attacked me. And when I woke this morning I found this. She holds up the forged letter, and Sorcha's world tilts. Convenient, isn't it? Evidence that appears overnight in my belongings. Evidence I've never seen before. Tell me, Lady Sorcha, how did your aunt's letter to me end up in my trunk when I've never met your family? The room erupts in murmurs. Ciarán's eyes narrow, moving between Niamh and Sorcha. Sorcha, is this true? Did you enter the Lunaelect's quarters last night? Every eye in the hall turns toward her. Sorcha feels the weight of their stares, the pressure of the moment crushing down. She could confess. Could throw herself on Ciarán's mercy and hope his years of trust in her by some measure of forgiveness. But confession means losing everything. Confession means admitting she stole a child, framed an innocent woman, assaulted the Lunaelect. Confession means watching Ciarán's trust crumble into disgust. I did enter her quarters, Sorcha says, choosing her words carefully. I heard sounds of a struggle. When I investigated, I found her. She gestures to the bruise on Niamh's temple. Like that. Injured. I helped her to bed and left to avoid impropriety. You're lying. Niamh's voice cracks with frustration. You attacked me. You tried to plant that letter. You're the one who took fiacre. That's a serious accusation, Ciarán says softly, dangerously. He moves toward Sorcha, and she can see the pain in his eyes, the desperate hope that she'll prove Niamh wrong. Sorcha, look at me. Tell me the truth. On your honor as my beta's daughter, as someone I've trusted for 8 years, did you have anything to do with my son's disappearance? This is the moment. The precipice. Sorcha can feel her entire future balanced on the edge of her next words. If she confesses, she loses everything but might save her soul. If she denies, she might still salvage this, might still find fiacre and return him as a hero. No, Alpha. The lie comes easier than it should. I would never harm fiacre. He's precious to me. He's precious to all of us. Ciarán holds her gaze for a long moment, searching for deception. Sorcha keeps her expression open, honest, meeting his eyes without flinching. She's lied to him before. Small lies about her feelings, about her ambitions. One more lie. One more deception in service of a greater goal. Then prove it, Ciarán says. Both of you. You claim someone in this fortress took my son. You accuse each other of fabrication and assault. Fine. Prove your innocence. I'm invoking the Council of Elders. They'll investigate both of you. Use whatever means necessary to uncover the truth. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear. If you're guilty, his voice breaks. If either of you harmed my son, I will execute you myself. The Council of Elders. 3 ancient wolves who serve as judges in pact disputes, who have the power to compel truth through old magic and older rituals. Sorcha's blood freezes. She can't lie to the elders. No one can. Their magic strips away deception, forces confession, reveals hidden truths. If they question her, everything will come out. Unless she finds fiacre first. Unless she brings him back before the council can convene. I accept the council's judgment, Sorcha says with a confidence she doesn't feel. When do they arrive? They're already here. They arrived at dawn for the Luna ceremony. Ciarán gestures toward the back of the hall, and 3 figures emerge from the shadows. Ancient beyond counting, their faces lined with the weight of centuries, their eyes holding the silver glow of pure wolf essence. Elder Morrigan, Elder Tig, and Elder Ashling, the last causing Niamh to gasp softly. A member of her own clan, here to judge her. Alpha Ciarán. Elder Morrigan speaks with a voice like wine through dead trees. We heard of your tragedy. We offer our services in pursuit of truth. I accept. Ciarán bows his head. Question them both. Use whatever methods you require. I need answers. I need my son. The elders move forward, and Sorcha feels the temperature drop. This is ancient magic, wild magic, the kind that predates pack law and civilization. The kind that cannot be fooled or negotiated with. She's out of time. She needs to find Orlith and Fiachra before the questioning begins, before her secrets are dragged into the light. If I may, Alpha, Sorcha says quickly. The patrol found signs of recent occupation at the old watchtower, a trail leading west. I request permission to pursue it while the elders conduct their investigation. We're wasting time with accusations while your son travels farther from safety. Ciarán hesitates, torn between suspicion and desperate hope. You want to lead a search party? I want to bring Fiachra home. Isn't that what matters most? Sorcha meets his eyes. If I'm guilty as Niamh claims, tracking will prove it. If I'm innocent, I'll return with your heir. Either way you get truth. It's a gamble and they both know it. But Ciarán is a father before he's an alpha right now, and his need to see his son safe outweighs protocol. Take 2 guards. Report every 4 hours via the pack link. If you deviate from the western trail, if you try to run. I won't. I'm not running from this. I'm running toward your son. Ciarán nods, and Sorcha turns to leave before he can reconsider. She selects 2 guards she knows she can outpace. Young warriors, loyal but inexperienced, and they depart within the hour. Behind her, she feels Niamh's eyes burning into her back, feels the elder's ancient magic stirring like a storm on the horizon. Time is running out. Her lies are unraveling thread by thread, and only finding Fiachra can save her now. The western trail leads through dense forest, and Sorcha pushes the pace hard, following signs that grow fainter with each passing mile. Broken branches, disturbed earth, the faint scent of Orlith's fear sweat carried on the wind. Her cousin is panicking, making mistakes, leaving a trail that any competent tracker could follow, which means others will find her. Which means Sorcha needs to reach Orlith first. 3 hours into the pursuit, one of the guards, a young wolf named Ewan, calls out, "Lady Sorcha, the trail splits here." One path continues west, the other turns south toward the river territories. Sorcha examines both paths, her heart sinking. Orlith is trying to confuse pursuers, doubling back, creating false trails. Desperate. And absolutely disastrous for Sorcha's timeline. She closes her eyes and reaches for the blood oath, feeling for the connection to her cousin. The magic thrums faintly in her chest, pulling her south, toward the river. "South," she says. "We go south." They run, and the guards struggle to keep pace with Sorcha's desperate speed. The forest thickens, and the scent of water grows stronger. Sorcha's mind races through possibilities. Where would Orlith go? Who would shelter her with a stolen child? Who owes the family enough to risk the Alpha's wrath? The answer hits her like a physical blow. Ruadan. Her uncle. Her father's brother who was exiled from the pack 15 years ago for stealing from the communal stores during a harsh winter. He settled in the river territories, outside pack jurisdiction, and he's always harbored resentment toward Ciarán's leadership. If Orlith went to him, if she told him she was protecting the child from internal pack politics, Ruadan would hide them. He might even help Orlith disappear permanently, thinking he was protecting family from unjust persecution. "Faster," Sorcha urges, and the guards exchange worried glances but obey. The sun climbs toward noon, and Sorcha knows that back at Duan Cairn, the Council of Elders is beginning their investigation. They'll question Niamh first. Protocol demands they start with the accused. But when Niamh's innocence becomes clear under their truth magic, they'll turn their attention to Sorcha. And then the pack link will light up with orders to bring her back in chains. She has hours, maybe less. The river comes into view through the trees, its waters running fast and dark with spring melt. On the far bank, a small settlement clusters around a mill. Sorcha recognizes the territory markers, neutral ground, outside any pack's direct control. A haven for exiles and outcasts. Perfect hiding place. "Wait here," Sorcha tells the guards. "If I'm not back in an hour, report to the Alpha that I found signs of the child in the river settlement." "Lady Sorcha, we're supposed to stay with you." "That's an order." Sorcha lets her authority ring through the words, and the guards bow their heads in submission. She leaves them at the river's edge and crosses using an old fallen log, her balance perfect despite the rushing water below. The settlement is quiet in the midday heat. Sorcha moves between buildings, following her instincts and the faint pull of the blood oath. She finds Ruadan's dwelling at the settlement's edge, a sturdy cabin with smoke rising from the chimney. Too much smoke for a warm spring day. Someone's burning evidence. Sorcha doesn't knock. She shoves the door open and steps inside to find Orlith standing over a fire, feeding papers into the flames. Her cousin spins, face pale with terror and guilt, and in the back room, Sorcha can hear the soft whimper of a child. Sorcha. Orlith's voice shakes. How did you? Where is he? Sorcha crosses the room in 3 strides, grabbing Orlith's arm. Where's Fiachra? Safe. He's safe. Orlith tries to pull away, but Sorcha's grip is iron. I'm protecting him. Like you asked. I asked you to keep him at the tower. I asked you to wait for my signal. Instead you ran. You brought him here. Do you have any idea what you've done? The elders came. Orlith's eyes fill with tears. I felt their magic all the way at the tower. That old truth magic. And I knew. I knew when they questioned you, everything would come out. So I ran. I brought him somewhere they can't sense him, somewhere the pack link doesn't reach. I'm saving you, cousin. I'm saving us both. You're condemning us both. Sorcha releases Orlith and moves toward the back room. Fiachra sits on a small cot, his silver eyes wide and confused. He's been crying, his cheeks are wet, his little fists rubbing at his face. When he sees Sorcha, he reaches for her with a sob of relief. Orca, he whimpers, using his baby pronunciation of her name. Home. Want home. Sorcha's heart shatters. She lifts the boy into her arms and he clings to her, his small body shaking with fear and exhaustion. He doesn't understand what's happening. Doesn't understand that the woman he trusts has destroyed his life and her own in pursuit of something that was never meant to be hers. I'm taking him back, Sorcha says to Orlith. I'm returning him to Ciarán and confessing everything. It's the only way. They'll execute you. Orlith blocks the doorway, desperation making her bold. The blood oath, Sorcha. You swore to protect him. If you confess to kidnapping, to framing the Luna elect, to everything, the Alpha will kill you. And then they'll kill me for helping. Better dead than living with this. Sorcha holds Fiachra closer, feeling the weight of her crimes pressing down like stones. I can't do this anymore. Can't keep lying. I can't keep hurting innocent people for a crown I was never worthy of. You're worthy. Orlith's voice rises with fervor. You've served that pack for 8 years. You've bled for them, fought for them, sacrificed everything. And how do they repay you? By bringing in some Omega with a fancy bloodline and pretty eyes. You deserve to be Luna. You've earned it. Not like this. Never like this. Sorcha moves toward the door, but Orlith doesn't move. Get out of my way, cousin. No. Orlith's eyes flash with something wild. I won't let you throw away both our lives. We can disappear. Take Fiachra somewhere far from here. Raise him ourselves. Start new lives in the Western Territories where no one knows us. He's young enough that he'll forget. In a few years, he won't even remember Duan Cairn. He's the Alpha's heir. They'll never stop looking for him. Then we kill him. The words hang in the air like poison. Orlith's face is twisted with desperate logic. We make it look like an accident. A fall into the river, a wild animal attack. We bring his body back and claim we tried to save him but failed. You'll be the hero who died trying to rescue the Alpha's son. No one will question your loyalty. No one will suspect the truth. Sorcha stares at her cousin as if seeing her for the first time. This woman, this family member she trusted with the most terrible secret, is suggesting they murder a child. A 2-year-old boy who reaches for Sorcha with trust, who calls her name, who has done nothing except exist as an obstacle to ambition run mad. You've lost your mind, Sorcha says quietly. I've lost nothing. I'm thinking clearly for the first time. Orlith takes a step forward, and Sorcha sees the knife in her hand. When did she pick that up? You're not thinking straight. You're letting guilt cloud your judgment. Give me the boy, Sorcha. Let me handle this. You can walk away clean. Put the knife down. I'm trying to save you. Orlith's voice cracks. After everything I've done for you, everything I've risked, you're just going to throw it all away? You're going to let them execute me because you grew a conscience? Fiachra whimpers against Sorcha's chest, sensing the danger. Sorcha backs toward the window, calculating distances, escape routes. She's a better fighter than Orlith, but she's holding a child. One wrong move and Fiachra could be hurt. I'm leaving, Sorcha says, keeping her voice calm. I'm taking Fiachra back to his father. You can come with me and confess, or you can run. Choice. But I won't let you harm this child. Then you're a fool. Orlith lunges, knife flashing in the dim light. Sorcha twists, protecting Fiachra with her body. The blade catches her shoulder instead of her throat, and pain explodes hot and sharp. She stumbles, nearly drops the boy, but manages to keep her grip. Fiachra screams, a sound of pure terror, and Sorcha's wolf instincts surge forward. Protect the pup. Protect the young. Everything else falls away. She kicks out hard, catching Orlith in the stomach. Her cousin doubles over, gasping, and Sorcha crashes through the window in a shower of glass and wood. She lands hard in the dirt outside, Fiachra clutched against her chest, blood streaming from her shoulder. The guards across the river hear the commotion and start running toward the settlement. Sorcha runs in the opposite direction, deeper into neutral territory. She can hear Orlith shouting behind her, can hear footsteps giving chase. The blood oath burns in her chest like a brand. Protect him, protect him, protect him. She's broken every other vow, but this one she'll keep, even if it costs her everything. The forest closes around her. Fiachra cries against her shoulder, his small hands fisting in her tunic. Home, he sobs. Want home. I know, little one. Sorcha's voice breaks. I know. I'm taking you home. I promise. She runs until her legs burn, until her shoulder screams with pain, until the sounds of pursuit fade behind her. Then she stops beside a stream, breathing hard, and checks Fiachra for injuries. He's unharmed except for some scratches from the window glass. Nothing serious. But he's terrified, confused, his silver eyes swimming with tears. It's okay, Sorcha whispers, smoothing his dark curls. You're safe now. I've got you. But he's not safe. Not really. Because Sorcha doesn't know the way back from here. She doesn't know this territory. She ran blindly, thinking only of escape, and now she's lost in neutral lands with a bleeding shoulder, a traumatized child, and the entire pack probably searching for her. The pack link suddenly flares to life in her mind, and Ciarán's voice echoes through it, filled with command and barely contained fury. All wolves return to Duan Cairn immediately. The council has completed their questioning. Niamh of the Aisling clan is innocent of all charges. I repeat, Niamh is innocent. We are now seeking Sorcha for questioning regarding the disappearance of my heir. If located, she is to be detained and returned immediately. Use of force is authorized. The link goes silent, and Sorcha knows every wolf in the territory just heard that pronouncement. She's now a fugitive, hunted by the pack she's served for 8 years. Everything she feared has come to pass, and it's worse than she imagined because she has Fiachra with her. If they find her now, if they see her running with the child, they'll assume the worst. They'll assume she's kidnapping him, fleeing with their heir. They won't believe she's trying to bring him back. Unless she can reach Ciarán directly. Unless she can get close enough to explain, to confess, to beg forgiveness. Sorcha pulls off her outer tunic and wraps it around Fiachra, hiding his distinctive dark hair and silver eyes. She ties the makeshift bundle to her chest and starts moving north, using the sun to navigate. north toward Duan Cairn, north toward judgment and probably execution, but also toward the only path of redemption left to her. The journey takes hours. Sorcha avoids patrols using every trick she knows, every skill she's developed over years of warrior training. Fiachra falls asleep against her chest, exhausted from crying, and his small warm weight is both comfort and condemnation. She did this. She hurt this innocent child, terrorized him, stole him from his home. For what? For ambition. For love. For pride. Dusk is falling when Sorcha finally sees the walls of Duan Cairn rising against the darkening sky. The fortress blazes with torchlight, and she can see guards stationed at every entrance. They're expecting her, waiting for her. She'll never make it through the main gates, but she knows other ways in. The same tunnels she used to steal Fiachra can be used to return him. Justice, perhaps. Symmetry. She circles to the eastern edge where the old watchtower tunnel entrance lies hidden beneath overgrown vines. The entrance is unguarded. No one except Sorcha knows about this particular access point. She descends into darkness with Fiachra stirring awake against her chest. The tunnels are cold and damp, and her shoulder throbs with each step, blood still seeping through her makeshift bandage. But she keeps moving, navigating by memory, counting turns, following the path that leads to the heart of the fortress. The tunnel opens into the lower levels, and Sorcha emerges into a storage room filled with winter supplies. She can hear voices above. The fortress is alive with activity, wolves searching, questioning, preparing for her inevitable capture. Sorcha unwraps Fiachra from the tunic and sets him on his feet. The boy looks up at her with those two knowing silver eyes. "Home?" he asks hopefully. "Home," Sorcha confirms. She kneels before him, bringing herself to his level. "Fiachra, I need you to be very brave. Can you do that for me? Can you go upstairs and find your da?" The boy nods and Sorcha's heart clenches. He trusts her still, even after everything. Children are resilient that way. Forgiving. Better than the adults who fail them. "Good boy." Sorcha kisses his forehead, tasting salt and dirt and innocence. "Tell your da that I'm sorry. Can you remember that? Tell him Sorcha is sorry." "Orca sorry," Fiachra repeats dutifully. Then he throws his small arms around her neck in a hug that nearly breaks her. "Love, Orca." The words are a knife through her heart. She doesn't deserve this child's love. She doesn't deserve anything except the punishment waiting for her. But she hugs him back, fiercely, memorizing the feel of his small body, the smell of his hair, everything about this moment that she'll carry into whatever comes next. Then she releases him and points toward the stairs. "Go on. Go find Da." Fiachra toddles toward the stairs, and Sorcha watches until he disappears around the corner. She can hear his small voice calling out, "Da! Da!" And then the eruption of shocked voices, the thunder of footsteps, the chaos of a fortress discovering their lost heir has returned. Sorcha doesn't run. She stands in the storage room and waits. This is where her story ends, in the darkness where it began, surrounded by the supplies she once organized, in the fortress she once called home. The blood oath in her chest settles into quiet satisfaction. The boy is safe, returned to his father, protected as promised. That debt at least is paid. Footsteps pound down the stairs. Guards burst into the room with weapons drawn, and Sorcha raises her hands in surrender. They surround her, rough hands grabbing her arms, forcing her to her knees. She doesn't resist, doesn't fight, just kneels in the dirt and blood and waits for what comes next. Ciarán appears in the doorway with Fiachra in his arms. The Alpha's face is a mask of conflicting emotions: relief, rage, betrayal, confusion. Fiachra is crying with happiness, clinging to his father, babbling about Orca and home, and things only a toddler can understand. Ciarán's eyes meet Sorcha's over his son's head, and the pain in them is worse than any physical blow. "Why?" Ciarán's voice is barely a whisper. "Why would you do this?" Sorcha wants to explain. Wants to talk about the 8 years of loving him from afar, the desperation of watching him choose someone else, the jealousy that consumed her until she couldn't think straight. But the words stick in her throat because no explanation will make this right. No confession will erase what she's done. "I wanted to be Luna," she says finally, and the words sound pathetic even to her own ears. I thought if Niamh was discredited, if she failed before she began, you might see me. Might choose me instead. So you stole my son." Ciarán's voice hardens. "You terrorized him. You framed an innocent woman. You betrayed everything you claimed to stand for. For a title. For status. For you." The confession rips out of her. "I did it for you. 'Cause I love you. Because I've loved you since the day I first shifted and felt the pull of the Alpha bond. 8 years, Ciarán. 8 years of standing at your side, fighting for you, bleeding for you. Hoping you'd see me as more than just your advisor. And then she shows up, this Omega you've never met, with her precious bloodline and her gentle smiles, and suddenly she's Luna. Suddenly she's worthy of everything I've earned." The guards shift uncomfortably. This is private pain being aired in public, intimacies that should have stayed hidden. But Sorcha is past caring about dignity. She's past caring about anything except making him understand. "I never asked you to love me," Ciarán says, and each word is a hammer blow. "I never gave you reason to think I saw you as anything other than a trusted advisor. If you wanted more, you should have spoken. Should have been honest. Instead, you turned into this." He gestures at her, and the disgust in his face is unbearable. "Someone I don't even recognize. I know." Sorcha's voice breaks. "I know what I've become. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I brought him back. That has to count for something. I brought Fiachra home safely. After you stole him. After you terrorized him. After you nearly got him killed." Ciarán's arms tighten around his son. "Orlith told the guards everything when they captured her at the river settlement. How you planned this from the beginning. How you forced her to help you. How you were willing to let an innocent woman take the blame for your crimes. Orlith," Sorcha starts but Ciarán cuts her off, "is being held for questioning. She'll answer for her role in this. But you, Sorcha, you're the architect. You're the one who set this nightmare in motion." He turns to the guards. "Take her to the holding cells. The council will pass judgment at dawn." The guards haul Sorcha to her feet, and she doesn't resist. She looks at Ciarán one last time, memorizing his face, the way he holds his son, the love in his eyes for Fiachra. That love was never meant for her. She knows that now. Some things aren't earned through devotion or sacrifice. Some things are given freely or not at all. "I'm sorry," she says again, but Ciarán has already turned away. The holding cells beneath Duan Cairn are cold and dark. Sorcha sits on the stone bench and stares at the wall, replaying every decision that led her here. The moments where she could have chosen differently. The moments where ambition overtook conscience. The moment she lifted Fiachra from his bed and crossed a line there's no coming back from. Hours pass. Or maybe minutes. Time loses meaning in the darkness. Eventually, footsteps echo in the corridor, and Sorcha expects guards bringing food, or the council come early for her judgment. Instead, Niamh appears outside her cell, holding a torch, her green eyes solemn in the flickering light. "You came to gloat?" Sorcha asks bitterly. "I came to understand." Niamh sets the torch in a wall bracket and sits on the floor outside the cell, her fine Luna's dress pooling around her. The coronation must have happened. The ceremony Sorcha tried so hard to prevent. "The elders told me everything. About your love for Ciarán. About your desperation. About how jealousy consumed you until you couldn't see clearly anymore. Is there a point to this? The point is that I understand." Niamh's voice is soft. "Not what you did. That's unforgivable. But why you did it. I understand loving someone who doesn't love you back. I understand wanting something so badly that it hollows you out. Before I was chosen as Luna, there was someone in my pack. Another Omega. We grew up together, trained together. I loved him for years. And he married someone else. Someone stronger, more beautiful, more everything I wasn't. And for one dark moment, I understood the appeal of sabotage, of making sure that if I couldn't be happy, no one could. Sorcha looks at her properly for the first time, seeing past the copper hair and kind eyes to the woman beneath. Someone who's suffered. Someone who's survived. Someone who chose differently when faced with the same darkness. But you didn't, Sorcha says. You didn't let the jealousy win. No. Because I realized that destroying someone else's happiness wouldn't create my own. It would just make me into someone I couldn't live with. Niamh meets her eyes. You made the other choice. And now you have to live with the consequences. I don't think I'll be living very long, Sorcha says flatly. The council will order my execution at dawn. Pack law is clear about child theft. Pack law allows for mercy in cases of confession and restitution. Niamh stands, brushing dust from her dress. I spoke with the elders. With Ciarán. I asked them to consider exile instead of execution. Sorcha's breath catches. Why would you do that? Because you brought Fiachra back. Because you protected him when Orlith wanted to kill him. Because despite everything you've done, there's still a part of you that's capable of doing the right thing. Niamh picks up the torch. I'm not saying you deserve forgiveness. But maybe you deserve a chance to live with what you've done. To be haunted by it. To spend the rest of your life knowing you threw away everything for nothing. That sounds worse than execution. It is. Niamh's smile is sad. But it's what I would want if I were you. The chance to become someone better. The chance to atone. She walks away, and Sorcha is left alone with her thoughts and the terrible gift of mercy she doesn't deserve. Dawn comes too quickly. The council summons her to the great hall, and the entire pack assembles to witness judgment. Sorcha stands before the three elders with her hands bound, her shoulder bandaged, her pride shattered beyond repair. Elder Morrigan speaks first, her ancient voice carrying to every corner of the hall. Sorcha, daughter of Brendan, you stand accused of child theft, assault, conspiracy, and attempted framing of the lunar elect. How do you plead? Guilty. The word tastes like ashes. To all charges. The pack law decrees death for such crimes, Elder Tig continues. Do you have anything to say before we pass sentence? Sorcha looks around the hall, seeing faces she's known for years. Warriors she's trained with. Scouts she's led. People who trusted her, respected her, followed her. And Ciarán standing with Niamh at his side. Fiachra sleeping peacefully in his arms. The family she tried to destroy. The future she tried to steal. I'm sorry, Sorcha says, and this time she means it with everything she has. I'm sorry to Fiachra, who deserves better than the terror I put him through. I'm sorry to Niamh, who came here in good faith and was met with cruelty. I'm sorry to the pack, who trusted me with authority I abused. And I'm sorry to Ciarán, who gave me his confidence and received betrayal in return. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm sorry. The elders confer in whispers too low for even enhanced hearing to catch. Then Elder Aisling stands and her eyes, the same green as Niamh's, hold ancient wisdom and painful mercy. We have heard testimony from Luna Niamh requesting clemency. We have consulted with Alpha Ciarán, who has expressed conflicting desires for justice and mercy. We have meditated on the old laws and the precedents they provide. She pauses, letting the tension build. Sorcha, daughter of Brendan, we sentence you to permanent exile from Pack lands. You are stripped of your titles, your rank, your authority. Your name will be struck from Pack records. You will be escorted to the border at dawn tomorrow and forbidden from ever returning on pain of death. Do you accept this sentence? Exile. Not death. The mercy Niamh spoke of, delivered by the council. Sorcha should feel relief, but all she feels is emptiness. To be cast out from the pack, from the only home she's known, from everyone she loves. It's a different kind of death. Slower. More painful. More fitting. I accept, Sorcha says. Then it is done. Elder Morrigan strikes her staff against the stone floor 3 times, and the sound echoes like a death knell. Guards return the exile to her cell. She departs at dawn. They lead Sorcha away, and she doesn't look back. Can't look back. If she sees Ciarán's face one more time, sees the relief and disappointment warring in his eyes, she'll break completely. The last night passes in darkness and regret. Sorcha doesn't sleep. She sits against the cold stone wall and reviews her life, sorting the good decisions from the bad, the moments of honor from the moments of shame. There aren't as many good moments as she thought. Her entire identity was built around being close to power, being essential, being chosen. And when that was threatened, she crumbled. She became something monstrous. Dawn arrives with cruel brightness. Guards escort Sorcha through the fortress one final time, and she memorizes every corridor, every torch, every stone. She'll never see this place again. Never walk these halls. Never stand in the great hall and feel the pack's collective strength flowing through the bond. They reach the main gate, and Ciarán waits there with a travel pack and a hooded cloak. He's alone except for the guards. Fiachra and Niamh are absent, wisely kept away from this farewell. Ciarán's face is expressionless as he hands Sorcha the pack. "Supplies for 3 days," he says formally. "Water, food, basic first aid. It's more than you deserve," but Niamh insisted. "Thank her for me." Sorcha takes the pack, and her fingers brush Ciarán's for the briefest moment. The contact sends electricity through her. One last taste of the bond she'll never complete. "And thank you for not killing me." "Don't thank me. I wanted to." Ciarán's voice is hard. "But Niamh was right. Death would be too easy for you. Living with what you've done, alone, cast out, with nothing but your memories and regrets, that's real punishment." She's wise. "She'll make a good Luna." "I know." Ciarán's expression softens slightly. "Despite your best efforts to sabotage her, she's already won the pack's respect. She has a gift for healing, for bringing people together. Everything a Luna should be. Everything I'm not," Sorcha thinks but doesn't say. The words are unnecessary. They both know. "Sorcha." Ciarán catches her arm as she turns to leave. "I hope you find peace. Somewhere far from here, I hope you find a way to live with yourself. Because despite everything, despite all the pain you've caused, there was a time when you were my friend. When I trusted you. And I'm sorry that wasn't enough." The apology, his apology to her, is worse than any condemnation. Sorcha's eyes burn with tears she refuses to shed. "It should have been enough. You should have been enough. The problem was never you, Ciarán. It was always me." She pulls away and walks through the gate before her courage fails. The guards escort her to the border markers, ancient stones carved with pack symbols. Beyond those stones lies neutral territory. Freedom. Emptiness. A new life or no life at all. Sorcha crosses the border and keeps walking. She doesn't look back. Behind her, the guards return to Duan Cairn, and she hears the pack links sever with an almost physical snap. She's alone now. Truly alone. No pack bond. No family connection. No home to return to. The forest stretches ahead, dark and deep and unknowable. Sorcha adjusts her pack and starts walking north, toward territory she's never seen, toward a future she can't imagine. The sun climbs higher, but it brings no warmth. Only light to walk by. Only hours to fill with footsteps and regret. And somewhere behind her, in a fortress she'll never see again, Ciarán holds his son and his Luna and builds the family that Sorcha destroyed herself trying to claim. The story doesn't end with redemption or forgiveness. It ends with consequences. With exile. With a slow, painful process of learning to live as someone new, someone humbled, someone who understands too late that love demanded cannot be love at all. Sorcha walks until dusk, until her feet bleed in her boots, until exhaustion forces her to stop. She makes camp in a small clearing and sits before a fire she builds with shaking hands. The flames dance in the darkness, and she stares into them, seeing ghosts and futures, possibilities that died the night she stole a child and tried to steal a crown. Tomorrow she'll walk farther. The next day farther still. Eventually, she'll find a place to stop, a territory that will accept her, a new life to build from the ruins of the old one. Or she won't. Maybe she'll just keep walking until the earth runs out, until there's nowhere left to run from the woman she became. But tonight, in this clearing under cold stars, Sorcha allows herself one moment of grief. She grieves the life she had, the trust she betrayed, the love she corrupted, the person she might have been if jealousy hadn't consumed her, if ambition hadn't devoured her conscience, if she'd chosen differently at every critical juncture. The fire burns low. The night deepens. And Sorcha sits alone with her crimes and her exile and the terrible knowledge that she has no one to blame but herself. Back at Dún Cairn, Niamh holds fiacra while Ciarán stands at the window, looking out toward the forest where Sorcha disappeared. The new Luna understands what her mate is feeling, the complicated grief of losing someone to their own darkness, the guilt of wondering if things could have been different, the relief that the nightmare is over. "She loved you," Niamh says quietly. "I know." Ciarán's voice is heavy. "But love that destroys isn't really love at all, is it?" "No. Something else. Something that wears love's face but feeds on possession and pride." Niamh shifts fiacra to her other hip, and the boy yawns, content and safe. She'll have to live with that knowledge. That's punishment enough. Ciarán turns from the window and looks at his Luna. His chosen mate, the woman who showed mercy when she had every right to demand blood. "Thank you," he says, "for seeing past revenge. For choosing the harder path. Someone had to." Niamh smiles, and it's sad but genuine. "Besides, I think I understand her better than anyone. The wanting, the jealousy, the fear of being overlooked. I just chose differently when those feelings came. She made her choices. Now she lives with them." They stand together in comfortable silence, and outside, night falls on Dún Cairn. The fortress settles into uneasy peace. The pack begins to heal. And somewhere in the dark forest, an exile walks alone, carrying the weight of crimes that can never be undone and a love that was never meant to be. The story ends not with resolution but with consequence. Not with forgiveness but with the slow, grinding work of living with what you've done. Some stories end happily. Some end justly. This one ends honestly, with a woman who wanted everything losing it all, and learning too late that the crown you steal will never fit the way the crown you earn would have. Sorcha